Hello students, myself Professor Ankur. I welcome everyone for the GATE theory session on analog circuits. Today we are going to specifically discuss IC 555 as a monostable multivibrator. This is the second session of our timer IC 555. So let's start with IC 555 as monostable multivibrator. So this is a circuitry of the monostable multivibrator. If you remember the introduction carefully regarding the MMV definition, that time we have discussed that monostable multivibrator is a specific circuitry that is designed to generate a pulse depending on the trigger signal given at pin number 2. So let's understand now how it is being realized. So when you look at the circuit diagram that is on the left hand side top section, you can see pin number 1 directly connected to ground. Pin number 5 is connected via a capacitor connected to the ground. Pin number 3 will work like an output pin. Pin number 4, that is the reset pin, and pin number 8, that is the VCC pin. They are tied together to plus VCC. Between pin number 8 and pin number 7, there is a resistance by the name RA. Pin number 7 and pin number 6 are basically shorted. At pin number 6, we are connecting a capacitor that will be connected to ground. So now the trigger signal will be given at trigger input pin, that is our pin number 2. So overall, if you observe carefully, all the 8 pins of IC timer are occupied. Now, what will happen with respect to the internal structural diagram? So when I look at the structural diagram arrangement, you can see carefully the upper comparator and the lower comparator, the SR flip-flop with S and R as input, Q and Q bar as output. Q bar actually works like an output for IC 555. The output Q will control the status of your transistor, which is going to operate either in saturation region or the cutoff region. Implies the transistor will work like a switch. Between pin number 8 and pin number 7, there is a resistance by the name RA. 7 and 6 are shorted. Pin number 6, we are having a capacitor by the name C and then connected to ground. Pin number 1 by default is the ground pin, it will be grounded. And pin number 2 is basically your trigger pin. So now when I try to get an output from this circuitry, I have to give a trigger signal at pin number 2. And the controlling logic of the lower comparator is basically 1/3 VCC. If you remember carefully, during the introduction session of IC 555, that time we have discussed that whatever is the VCC supply, it will be distributed equally across the 3 internal resistances, and every resistor will have a voltage drop of 1/3. So according to that logic, the lower comparator will have a reference comparison for 1/3 VCC and the upper comparator will have a reference comparison for 2/3 VCC. So if you see the lower comparator carefully, the plus pin of the comparator is connected to the resistor R. So according to that logic, the 1/3 VCC will be connected to the plus pin. So if the circuit has to generate an output, the trigger signal given at pin number 2 should go below 1/3 VCC. Then only the lower comparator output will become 1, R will become 1. On receiving R as 1, automatically the Q will become 0 and Q bar will become 1. So now we will try to understand how the entire monostable circuitry will operate. So I have discussed the operation in this slide. So here you can see actually how the entire operation will happen, but I will try to explain you everything with respect to the internal circuitry diagram. So going back to the circuitry diagram, we will have a small discussion regarding this. Now let's check how the operation will happen. So we are actually assuming that at the initial condition, the output Q bar is going to be 0. If the Q bar is 0, then Q is going to be 1. If the Q is going to be 1, then automatically the base of the transistor receives logic 1. Automatically the transistor will be in the on state. So if it is on state, it will work like a closed switch. So because of this, if I turn on the VCC battery, the current will start flowing through RA. It will go through the transistor to ground. So if you observe, the system is basically stable and the output is going to give you 0. Since the output is taken from Q bar, the output of this IC is going to be 0. So if I want some operation to happen, I need to do something at the trigger pin. So what I'm doing here is at the trigger pin, I'm giving a falling pulse and the falling level will be going below 1/3 VCC. So as soon as the trigger signal goes below 1 by 3 VCC, automatically the lower comparator will give an output 1. If the lower comparator gives you output as 1, the R will become 1, automatically Q bar will become 1. So as soon as R becomes 1, Q bar will become 1, the output goes to the high state. So the output goes to a level of VCC, that is logic 1. Automatically or simultaneously you can say the Q bar status is going to be 0. If the Q bar goes to 0, the transistor will turn off. If the transistor turns off, in this situation, when the battery is in the on state, the current will start flowing through RA and it will go for capacitor and the capacitor will start charging. So once the capacitor starts charging, it will give a charging effect for the capacitor, and when the voltage of the capacitor goes or crosses slightly above 2 by 3 VCC, that is a controlling voltage for the upper comparator, automatically when the VC goes beyond 2 by 3 VCC, the upper comparator will become 1. If the upper comparator becomes 1, S will become 1, Q will become 1, immediately Q bar becomes 0. So that's an impact on the output. So as soon as the capacitor voltage goes to 2 by 3 VCC, the output will go to 0. And since your value of Q has become 1, the transistor will turn on. Immediately the capacitor will discharge through capacitor to ground, and the current from the battery will flow through RA through transistor to ground. So it is as good as we have returned back to the original situation. Implies whenever I give a trigger pulse, I was able to generate a pulse at the output. So that output was available at pin number 3. So if I want the next pulse to get generated, I need to give a trigger again. It also implies if I never ever give the trigger again, the output will never go to the high state. It will always keep on giving you 0 only. So as soon as I got that logic, I can say that whenever you give a trigger signal at pin number 2, the trigger signal has to be a falling pulse with a signal level going less than 1 by 3 VCC. Then only the system will be able to respond and generate a pulse for a trigger logic. With respect to that, you will get an output of pulse, and that pulse width can be determined using a specific calculation. So let's go for the calculation of the on time of the pulse. So for getting the on time of the pulse, we have to go for a small derivation. I hope you are able to interpret carefully that what has happened in the entire circuitry. On summary grounds, I can easily say that whenever you give a trigger which goes below 1 by 3 VCC, automatically corresponding to the position of that trigger pulse, you will get a pulse at the output. So it is as good as you give the trigger and you get a response. If you don't give the trigger, you will never ever get a response. So here I have explained carefully with respect to the entire operation what we have discussed with the circuitry diagram. So let's go ahead and go for the calculation of the on time of the pulse. So here, if I want to determine the width of the pulse, we take the charging equation of the capacitor as Vc is equal to VCC 1 minus e raised to minus t by Ra into C, because the resistance is Ra here and the capacitor who is going to charge is going to be C. So the first term Vc is equal to VCC bracket 1 minus e raised to, so everything is an exponential term, t by Ra into C. So now what will happen? When I go for substitution of the value, that whenever the capacitor voltage reaches 2 by 3 VCC, the system width, the system output is going to go to 0. So that is going to be the on time. So that's the reason we are calculating how much time is taken by the capacitor to reach that value of 2 by 3 VCC. So when I substitute Vc is equal to 2 by 3 VCC, the value of t will come as 1.1 Ra into C. So this is the final value. So if I want to generate a specific pulse of specific on time, or the width of the pulse has to be equal to 1.1 Ra into C, you can design it for different combinations of Ra and C, and you will get different spacing of the pulse. The width of the pulse will keep on changing depending on the combination of Ra and C you have selected. If you go for a higher time value, Ra into C, automatically the width of the pulse will increase. So as and when you give the trigger pulse, automatically you will get a on pulse at the output, and the on pulse time period can be defined as 1.1 Ra into C. So this is the width of the pulse. So here we are trying to discuss the final conclusion. We are having the IC 555 and the left hand side figure is basically your circuit connection. So you can see here that there is a battery on the top and the ground point at the bottom. The resistance and the capacitor is there, and the output is available at pin number 3. And with respect to the waveform, we can clearly see that whenever the trigger signal goes below 1/3 VCC, the capacitor will start charging and go to a max value of 2/3 VCC. Till that time, the output will be retained to a VCC value, and then you get a specific width. So as and when you can modify the values of the resistor and the capacitor, the width of the pulse will keep on changing for the output. So this is how you can generate a pulse of different widths with respect to the combinations of resistor and capacitor. And everything is getting controlled by the charging of the capacitor.